What's up, my central unit? Is the Central Man here. So, back again with another classic WWE pay-per-view review. So, Night of Champions, actually, Clash of Champions is just around the corner. It's a couple hours away. So, let's go into that archives. The last Night of Champions pay-per-view review I did was Night of Champions 2008. So, let's travel 2 years into the future. I'm going to review WWE Night of Champions 2010. The last 2010 WWE pay-per-view review I did was reviewing SummerSlam 2010. That was not a good show, so how Night of Champions 2010 going to live up? You have to wait and find out. Anyway, so this show was at the Allstate Arena in Chicago, Illinois on the 19th of September 2010. The attendance for the show was 13,851, and the buy rate for Night of Champions 2010 is 165,000 pay-per-view buys, a completely downgrade from the 2009 Night of Champions review show. Sorry, yeah, it's a downgrade from the previous year's Night of Champions show. I was planning before I get to the rest of this review. I was originally planning to review Nia Champions 2009. I was originally planned for that show review, but unfortunately, I kind of changed my mind. I'm going to review this show, Nia Champions 2010. Anyway, yeah, it was a downgrade from the 2009 show because the 2009 show has about 260,000 pay-per-view buys because the main event for that show was CM Punk defended the World Heavyweight Championship against Jeff Hardy. Anyway, the commentators for the show are Michael Cole, Jerry the King Lawler, and Matt Striker. Anyway, so the first match to kick off Night of Champions 2010, we got the Intercontinental Championship match. We got Dolph Ziggler defending the Intercontinental Championship against Kofi Kingston. And they add this stipulation is that if Ziggler get himself counted out or disqualified, he will lose the Intercontinental Championship. And by the way, in Dolph's corner, you got like Vicky Guerrero and Caitlyn because at the time, it was the third season of NXT. I think it's the third. I think it's the only season with the women, and then years later there'll be part of the rebranded version of NXT. Anyway, so in this storyline in NXT, yeah, there's a little bit of a mini rivalry between Vicky and Caitlyn. I don't want to get into it. Anyway, so this match, in my opinion, this is way better than that match at SummerSlam because that match at SummerSlam was disappointing because it was ended I think it was a non-contest because you got the Nexus members being down. Not really on Dolph, but on Kofi. And anyway, this was a really good opener. It was back and forth, really, between Dolph and Kofi. They just got really good chemistry. It's a damn shame, like in recent years, like really in 2019, when Kofi was feuding with Dolph for the WWE Championship. Because at this point, Dolph was basically Shawn Michaels 2.0. He's nowhere near the quality of a Shawn Michaels. With Kofi, he's still doing the stuff with the New Day. But back then, they were the kind of upper comers, Anyway, so it was back and forth. It was a little bit boring because you had basically a lot of rest holds. Like one moment, like Ziggler is trying to lock in the sleeper hold. He will do this. He made Kofi passed out at the Capital Punishment pay-per-view in 2011. I covered that show on the channel. Go and check it out. Anyway, so in the end, Vicky was about to smack Kofi in the face. But instead, the Dolph just tell Vicky, no, don't do that. In the end, Dolph, I think he hit Kofi with the zigzag to win this match and retain the Intercontinental Championship. Yeah, this is a really good opener to kick off the show, and it was the right choice. And by the way, Dolph will remain the champion until December. I think it was at the TLC pay-per-view before losing the title back to Kofi I think it was a triple threat ladder match for the title against Dolph, Kofi, and also Jack Swagger, and they had really good chemistry. Dolph will defeat Kofi for the U.S. title 1 year later at Capital Punishment. I think they took a bit of a hiatus until 2019, I think. When Kofi is the WWE champion. Anyway, let's move on to the next match. The next match, oh boy, this is the only non-title match on the show, and I'm guessing this is I might be wrong about this. This is probably the first non-title match in the history of Night of Champions, because this pay-per-view is the gimmick of this pay-per-view is basically every championship is on the line. Before I get to talk about the next match and shut the door, it's a little bit chilly. Autumn is just around the corner. Anyway, so the next match we got CM Punk, the hometown boy, versus Big Show. Anyway, Punk he got a good reaction, but not monstrous. It's like he will get that monstrous reaction at Money in the Bank in 2011, really the following year, when he's facing John Cena for the WWE Championship. Anyway, so Punk was basically cutting a promo on Chicago. He's kind of like praising Chicago, and at the same time, he was bashing Chicago. He's still doing the whole straight edge gimmick. At this point, the Straight Society was gone. And I'm guessing like Serena and Luke Gallows left the company. And I think Joey Mercury, I think he was backstage, went back to backstage. He came back as an on-screen figure in 2014. Be part of JJ Security, the authority figure. He's basically part of the authority. Being Seth Rollins' bodyguards. That was like 4 years later, but yeah, like I said, SummerSlam 2010 was really basically they wiped out two promising factions, Nexus and also SES, the Straight Society. Anyway, so you got SES, basically Punk and Big Show was feuding in the summer of 2010. Basically you had Big Show ripped off CM Punk's mask. They had the handicap match at SummerSlam that Big Show won. I think he had another handicap match on SmackDown again. I think it's between Punk and Gallows. Big Show win again. So basically this is a burial between SES. I'll explain a little bit shortly. There's nothing much about this match. This was basically a squash. I don't really call it a squash match. Punk had some offense. Big Show got most of the offense. They were booing Big Show. They were cheering Big Show, but when he attacked Punk, they were booing Big Show. I think Punk tried, to get the fans in Chicago boo him, but you got some fans. I think you got some fans cheering for Punk. I think fans just really like seeing Punk, whether they like him as a heel and a babyface. I think they tried, but it's like Bret. I think it's like similar to Bret Hart. They try to make Bret, have the Canadian fans booing Bret, but they like him as a heel and a babyface. Anyway, so yeah, there was not much to talk about. In the end, Big Show basically a super speed onto Punk. Punk was going through a move off the top rope. Big Show hit Punk with the spear, and he knocked him out with the weapon of mass destruction, that is the WMD, to win this match. So at this point, Punk was not doing everything at the time. I mean, afterwards, Punk he jumped ship to the Raw brand, be part of commentator, and also be part of the new Nexus. And that was basically a bit of a really good revival for Punk's career. And then 1 year later, he'll win his first WWE Championship in the same. It will be in the same arena against John Cena 1 year later. Anyway, so moving on to this, really the second championship match of the night and the third match of the show. We got The Miz defending the United States Championship against Daniel Bryan. So The story between Miz and Bryan, it took place since the first season of NXT. Basically, Miz treats Miz being Daniel Bryan's is pro. Bryan is the rookie. This is typical. At the time, NXT is like that goofy game show, not the NXT you see right now. Miz was basically treating Daniel Bryan like shit. Basically, so he buried him. Not really necessarily buried him, but saying about he has no personality, no charisma. And also I think and also he doesn't have a catchphrase. And Bryan come up a catchphrase. I think it's called tap and snap, and later on become a T-shirt. This is later. This is before he been doing the yes or no. That's about like in 2012. Anyway, so he was losing a lot of matches in NXT. He was the first one got eliminated. You can tell the fans were starting to get behind Daniel Bryan as the underdog. And then when Bryan was part of the Nexus, when the Nexus debuted on Raw, Bryan got fired from the company for choking out Justin Roberts' necktie. And then he came back 2 months later at SummerSlam in the Team WWE versus Team Nexus match. That was an elimination match. Bryan was kind of like the MVP in this match. I think he eliminated 3 or 4 members of the Nexus, and then before Miz attacked Daniel Bryan, and this is set up this match at Night of Champions. Anyway, so this was good. I think this was a match of the night, to be honest. Like the whole bulks of the match, the Miz kind of work on the arm of Daniel Bryan, and you got Alex Riley. He's the Miz's bodyguard at the time. One good thing about Alex Riley, I like him as Miz's bodyguard at the time. He was getting over as his bodyguard. He was basically, doing the Miz's dirty work, doing his bidding. I think like 2 moments of the portion of the match, basically he was taking the bullet from the Miz. In the end, Bryan locked in the LaBelle lock at the time. This is before he changed it as the yes lock and then the no lock, and then he went back as the LaBelle lock. I think he still calls it the LaBelle lock to this day. Oh, right now, sorry. Anyway, so Miz tapped out. Bryan won his first championship in WWE. It was a good moment. I mean, this was really the rise of Daniel Bryan. Looking back, I was like, oh, don't mind Daniel Bryan, but starting to like him in 2011. I like him in 2012. I still like Daniel Bryan to this day. I don't know why, but I started to like him. I think this is a rise. He won his first championship in WWE. That was the United States Championship on this show. And then 1 year later, he'll win the SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match, and he win his first world title in WWE because he was already a multiple-time world champion in Ring of Honor. Yeah, he won his first world title in WWE in 2011 at TLC. And then 2012, he went, be part of a tag team with Kane, Team Hell No. In my opinion, I like that tag team. One of my favorite tag teams, with Bryan and Kane, and then you become a multiple-time world champion in those 2013, 2014. Yeah, he had injuries, came back in 2018, win another world title. This match and this title win was what really was the rise of Daniel Bryan. Really, truly put him on the map in WWE. He'll remain he remains being popular with the indie fans because people know Bryan for years. Bryan Danielson. Those days in the Indies and Ring of Honor. But I think this was truly on the map. His rise to stardom. He'll hold the United States title. Yeah, I think his run as the United States title champion. Sorry, his run as the champion was very underrated in my opinion. He held the belt he won the title in September. I think he dropped the belt. I think it was 2 weeks before WrestleMania 27 to Sheamus. He never really won another United States title ever again. It's a damn shame. It's what it is. So anyway, as for the rivalry between Bryan and Miz, I think they have the triple threat match at Hell in a Cell with Bryan, Miz, and Morrison. And then I think they kind of resumed it in 2011 during the Miz's feud with Jerry the King Lawler, building up for their match at Elimination Chamber the following year in 2011. And then afterwards, they won't fight again until 2018. So this is really good match. Let's move on to match number 4, and this is a unification match for the Divas and the Women's Championship. We got the Women's Champion Michelle McCool defending the belt against the Divas Champion Melina. At this point, the both divisions were completely dead. This was basically the end of the 2-branded women's division until the second brand split to with the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship right now. Anyway, so the co-champions at the time was Lay Cool, that is Michelle McCool and Layla. So Michelle McCool is basically will face Melina for the title, and this is a lumberjill match. I hate lumberjills or lumberjack matches in pro wrestling. It's just they are car crashes, man. They are kind of like car crashes. This is like train wrecks. This was not a train wreck. They basically they didn't tap Melina, but they basically tapped Michelle McCool. At this point, they were all baby faces. It's very This is very very unbalanced. I think you had one that is Maurice. I don't know. I think the Bellas are a babyface. Rosa Mendes is a babyface. Natalia is a babyface. Actually, Tamina was a heel. Slowly to become a babyface. And anyway, I don't know about Alicia Fox. Guessing heel. Anyway, I don't want to get into it. It would be an end of like a 2-hour street review. So they keep it like probably 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Anyway, the match was okay. I think that there's one botch. I think Michelle McCool and Melina was about to do a move off the top rope, but unfortunately, they kind of missed their footing. They kind of had a bad spill. Gladly, they're not badly injured. In the end, you had Layla. Actually, there was 3 heels, but she tried to interrupt with Melina, trying to attack Melina. Basically, Layla took the bullet for Michelle McCool. Anyhow, Michelle McCool hit the big boot to win this match and win. I'm guessing this is her second Divas title run, because she was the first Divas champion because she won the belt from Natalia at Great American Bash for 2008. That pay-per-view, the last pay-per-view of the Ruthless Aggression era, and the last TV14 pay-per-view before they went PG. Anyway, at this point, I just do not care about Leiko at this point. I just do not care. I don't like them. I understand. I give WWE some props and the credits they do. They are basically it's basically the answer. They're basically WWE's version of the beautiful people from TNA. I like the beautiful people more than Leiko because Leiko is a bit, they're annoying and lame. As for the beautiful people, I think the stuff what they're doing, it's a bit organic in my opinion. With Velvet Sky, Angelina Love, Madison Rayne. I'm not a big fan of Lacey Von Erich. Anyway, so that was the end of this was the end of the divisions in both Raw and SmackDown in the women's side. This was the end of the women's division, the women's title. Sorry. It was the end of it was the end of it. They kind of retired the women's belt. Yeah, they brought it back 6 years later at WrestleMania 32, and then right now, you got the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships. Sorry. Unfortunately, Michelle McCool's second run of the belt never lasts long because she dropped the title to Natalia at Survivor Series. I'm not a big fan of Michelle McCool. She's a good wrestler, but she's kind of annoying. She's kind of like the Charlotte Flair of the early 2000s. The reason why WWE is pushing Charlotte Flair throughout the years, the last 4 or 5 years, because she's Ric Flair's dad. But when Michelle McCool got that push, because she got married, I think she got married to The Undertaker She's Undertaker's wife. I'm not saying she's terrible, but I'm just saying I think her push is kind of forced. She's a good wrestler, but it's just like super. I feel it's a bit phony and forced. I know, not say phony, but forced in my. I'm trying to say. So anyway, so it was the end of the women's belt for 6 years. So and the world co-champion. They enter the show as co-champions Lay Cool, and then Michelle McCool's the only one leaving Chicago as the new Divas champion. Anyway, let's move on to the next match. The next match, we've got the World Heavyweight Championship match. This is a no-holds-barred match between Kane defending the belt against his brother, The Undertaker. This this storyline took place in the spring and the summer of 2010 because Undertaker got attacked. Who attacked The Undertaker? I think the keywords for in 2010 on the SmackDown side, it's like who put The Undertaker in a vegetated state. Kane's investigation, doing some investigation who attacked The Undertaker. He's black. Who is it was Jack. Once it's like before it was Jack Swagger. It wasn't him. It was before it was Rey Mysterio. It wasn't him. It was Kane. So Undertaker made his return. After Kane's match with Rey Mysterio at SummerSlam, and Taker basically Kane turned on his brother The Undertaker, and Kane was the one who put Undertaker in the vegetated state because I'm guessing in real life Taker suffered like an eye injury. That because the vegetated state that was kayfabe, but he had a allegedly injury in real life. It wasn't a career or life threatening injury. It was just an eye injury. Anyway, this match. They had a lot of matches in the 90s. They had the feud in the 90s. Late 90s, and then they had really revived the rivalry in 2004, and then this is they had the match in 2000. That was shit. Anyway, so this match was okay. And like the hype to this is The Undertaker gonna be 100%. You had Kane attack, really trying to attack The Undertaker in Raw 900 in Taker's match with Bret Hart. That was and ended in a non-contest. He got attacked. Unfortunately, Taker got attacked by the Nexus. Anyway, so Undertaker is on really not 100% ready. And at this point, Undertaker was kind of like past his best. I'm not saying he's that past his best, but you can tell he's starting getting that part-time mode in his career. He's in that part-time mode in his career because this is Undertaker's last year as a full-time wrestler before only showing up at WrestleMania. 2015 was the only time, feuding with Brock, and then in 2018 and 19, only showed up in the Saudi Arabia shows, feuding with Rusev, Goldberg, Triple H, until his final match with AJ Styles at WrestleMania 36 Part 1. Anyway, so this match was okay because on the playing with Undertaker's strength, he cannot really work like a full-length match anymore because of, he's getting on. You can tell he's just not himself. Like one more of the match, he had, I'm guessing like Taker kind of Irish whip Kane through like this pillar. They were fighting near the crowd. I don't want to get into it. It was okay for what it is. It's a bit of a harsh fight. In the end, Taker was about to tombstone Kane, but Kane reversed it and hit a tombstone power of his own to win this match and retain the World Heavyweight Championship. So it kind of kept the rivalry going. It was an okay match. Wasn't bad, but wasn't like fantastic. It's just playing like trying to protect Taker because he cannot work like a 20-30. He's not the same Undertaker from the 90s and the 2000s. He's not. He's playing, not really playing up to Undertaker's strengths, but trying to protect him because you can tell he's just not himself. He was 45 at the time. He was kind of way past his prime because, like 45 in pro wrestling, that's old. Compared to in your 30s, You still got like 10 to 15. Like Jericho's 49, going to be 50 this year, but because Jericho never had like proper injuries. I think the one thing finished Taker is the injuries. I think like injuries starting to caught up of the Undertaker. That's why you don't see Undertaker fight having more matches in the 2010s. He only showed up at WrestleManias. You don't see him in non Big Four pay-per-views. I don't want to get into it, but it's what it is. Anyway, they'll continue the rivalry throughout the rest of the autumn of 2010 in October. They had the Hell in a Cell match at Hell in a Cell. The return of Paul Bearer. Paul Bearer turned on The Undertaker, basically killed him in the concrete crypt at Great American Bash 04. And then the rubber match was at Bragging Rights. Kane won the feud. Basically, Kane won 3 matches against the rivalry of The Undertaker. I'm guessing Kane never beat The Undertaker, because Undertaker won mostly the feuds with Kane. The 2 WrestleMania matches at 14 and 20, the Infernal match at Unforgiven of 1998. The SummerSlam match was a non-contest. I think Kane beat Taker on a Raw in the Attitude Era. In those Raws, I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on it, but yeah. So basically, it's a big win for Kane, defeating an established star of the Undertaker. Kane is already established star, but being like a proper legend of the Undertaker. Kane is a legend, but Taker's got more of a legendary status than Kane. Anyway, so enough talking about this match. Let's move on to the next match. Oh boy, let's move. This is a tag team turmoil match for the WWE Tag Team Championships. We got the Hart Dynasty, that is Tyson Kidd and David Hart Smith, defending the belts against the Usos, Santino Marella and Vladimir Kozlov, Evan Bourne and Mark Henry, and Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre. Oh boy, the tag team division at this point was fucking shit. I don't say it wasn't dead, but it's compared right now. Look at the tag team division in both Raw and SmackDown right now. It's shit. It's non-existent. Like the tag team champ, the only tag team champ, the tag team on Raw really is the Street Profits. I don't give a shit about the Viking Raiders. They're fucking a comedy act now. I don't know about Gaza and Arandre. Maybe on SmackDown, the only tag team, really a good tag team on that brand, is basically Cesaro and Nakamura. Yeah, and mostly it's non-existent. Back then, it's just like there were a lot of hybrid tag teams. Not like the only 2 established tag teams are the Hart Dynasty and the Usos. They kind of feud in the summer. They had the match at I think they had the match at the Fatal 4-Way pay-per-view, and then the first Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And then they didn't have a match at SummerSlam. I don't know why they did that. They didn't really have the match at SummerSlam. Why? I think it's the first. The first. I might be wrong about this. It could be I think it's the first SummerSlam without the tag team titles defended on the show. Anyway, so let's talk about the tag team turmoil match. It was okay. The one shock is that the Hart Dynasty was the first tag team got eliminated. They got eliminated by the Usos. At this point, the Usos were so vanilla and bland. They got better in the next couple of years. Doing the war dance and the hip hop rapping gimmicks. So anyway, they got Hart Dynasty got eliminated. That was a bad call. I'll explain a little bit shortly. So Usos' next opponent was Santino Marella and Vladimir Kozlov. Yeah, the Usos eliminated them. In the end, you had Santino doing the whole Cobra. I think some fans comparing it. Actually, they don't really compare it. People say Santino's Cobra is kind of ripping off of Mick Foley's Mr. Socko. I understand why, because of the puppets, but back then he was just doing with his hand. And you have fucking Tamina doing it as well. I'm guessing he's trying to distract Santino. This was the start of this love relationship storyline between Santino and Tamina. That never went anywhere. Anyway, I think Jimmy OJ hit Santino with the Samoan drop. So the next team was Mark Henry and Evan Bourne. At this point, they were not doing anything at the time. Mark Henry, oh boy, Mark Henry was a babyface. Don't worry, he'll be a heel 1 year later, and then 1 year later he'll become the World Heavyweight Champion. Doing the whole Hall of Pain gimmick. Anyway, so they eliminated the Usos like it was one of the Uso brother, I think it was Jimmy OJ, eat the world's strongest slam by Mark Henry, and Bourne, I think he hit the airborne, that is a shooting star press onto one of the Uso twins to win this match. Actually, not win this match, but eliminate the Usos. So the final tag team was Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre. Very odd pairing because they're not doing anything at the time. Anyway, so it was okay. The last minutes of the match was okay. In the end, I think Cody hit the crossroads onto Evan Bourne to win this match and win the tag team belts. And that was a pointless tag team reign. Really, it's basically a title change of a title change because they were never doing anything for the belt because a month later, they dropped the belts to John Cena and David Otunga, the Nexus. And, because the rest of 2010, they kind of the tag team belts kind of hot potatoed, Rhodes and McIntyre, won the belts, and then Cena and Otunga, the Nexus, won it at bragging rights, and then I think it was on a Raw, Cena and Otunga dropped the belts to Gabriel and Slater. Then I think they were 3-time tag team champions. I think they dropped the belts. I think they drop it, regain it, and then won it again for the second time, and then drop it. And then the rest of the year, they dropped the belts later on to Santino and Vladimir Kozlov. Anyway, and this was when the Usos, when the Hart Dynasty got eliminated. This was the end of the Hart Dynasty. They won the tag team belts. I think it was Miz and Big Show. And then afterwards, after defeating the Usos, what's next for the Hart Dynasty? I think that momentum was gone. And then all of a sudden, they split the Hart Dynasty up. That was a bad mistake because afterwards, you got basically Tyson Kidd turned on David Hart Smith, introduced, Jackson Andrews, basically Tyson Kidd's bodyguard. He never went anywhere. He was gone after that. And then 1 year later, D.H. Smith left the company. Yeah, I think he wrestled in Major League Wrestling, the Indies, and also Japan with using his dad's name. He's the son of the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. I think he used his dad's name right now in the Indies and Major League Wrestling and Japan. It's really sad because David R. Smith is still wrestling. Like I said, Indies, New Japan, Major League Wrestling. I can see him going to AEW or Major League Wrestling. Not Major League Wrestling, NWA Power, but I don't know about AEW, but. And also, Tyson Kidd is retired. It's just a mistake. Anyway, it was basically okay. At this point, the tag team division don't mean shit, and the division was not that good. Anyway, let's move on to the main event, folks. The main event, we got the 6-pack challenge. This is for the WWE Championship. We got Sheamus defending the belt against John Cena, Randy Orton, Edge, and Chris Jericho, and Wade Barrett. You got former world champions in this match. That is, Sheamus, the current champion. Cena, Orton, Edge, and Jericho. They are the former world champions. Barrett is the only one never won a world title. This is his first championship match, and at this point, the Nexus has already got dead and buried after SummerSlam. Anyway, the first person got eliminated in this match was Chris Jericho. Jericho got eliminated by Randy Orton. Orton hit the RKO onto Jericho. So eliminate. I don't know what happened, man. It's just second straight pay-per-view review in a row. Second straight classic WWE pay-per-view review in a row. It was a complete blackout. Anyway, back to the main event match. So anyway, the first person got eliminated was Chris Jericho. He got eliminated by Randy Orton. Orton hit the RKO onto Jericho. and the fans were cheering "Na na na na, hey hey, goodbye" to Jericho because there's reports and rumors that this was Jericho's last pay-per-view appearance, and it was. I think Jericho said it in podcast or maybe in his book that he said like if he did not win the WWE Championship on this show, he will leave the WWE, and he did. This was his last pay-per-view match of his second run of the company. And I think his last match of the company was against Randy Orton on a Raw before Hell in a Cell, and Orton punted him in the head. Yeah, this was the end of his second run of the company, and to be honest, this was really, Jericho's second run in the company was, I think it's successful more than his first run in the company, because his first run in the company, he became a 8-time IC champion, actually 7-time IC champion, and the first undisputed world champion, defeated both Stone Cold and The Rock on the same night at Vengeance in 2001. The reason why his second one was successful because 2008 and 2009 was basically the golden years of Chris Jericho's career. He was doing the whole serious Y2J stuff. Calling the fans parasites and hypocrites. Doing the whole "I'm the best in the world of what I do," and teaming up with the Big Show, Jerry Show, and his feuds with he's better Shawn Michaels, and it's just basically it was his best run, and yeah, he took a time off. He focused on his band Fozzy. He came back. He took a hiatus in 2011. He did Dancing in the Stars in America. This is basically the American version of our show, because our show we call it Strictly Come Dancing. Jericho will come back to the company in 2012. Showed up at the Royal Rumble match, and also feuding with CM Punk for the WWE Championship in both at WrestleMania 28 and Extreme Rules. Anyway, and also they were trying Y2J afterwards. They're basically mocking Jericho, but praising him because he was his last match, so he's the first one who got eliminated. Anyway, and by the way, the fans were booing John Cena. They always hate. I think they hate John Cena since WrestleMania 22 in 2006. Anyway, so the second person got eliminated was Edge. He got eliminated by Cena. Hit the AA on him. This was before, and this was after when Sheamus and Edge, teaming up to beat down the other competitors. The Warren, Cena, Barrett. So yeah, Edge was the second person got eliminated, and then the third person got eliminated was John Cena. He was about to eliminate Wade Barrett, but you got the members of the Nexus ended up showing up. At this point Nexus was done because they got, like I said, they got buried. All the momentum was gone after SummerSlam, after that match when Cena rebooked that main event. Anyway, they didn't really touch Cena, but they're trying to get in the ring. Barrett hit the waistland onto Cena. This is way better than the bullpen elbow. I hate that bullpen elbow. And, in that 2012, in his final few years in his run in the company, I hate that. I like the waistland more than the bullpen elbow. Cena got eliminated. This is setting up the Wade Barrett versus John Cena match at Hell in a Cell a couple weeks later. And this was a big win for Wade Barrett, And he also beat Cena at Hell in a Cell. And also it backfired on the Nexus when John Cena joined the group. That's another topic for another time. So anyway, the final two was Sheamus and Randy Orton. And then after that, the Nexus got they put like absolute jamokes in this match. They got Cena just basically beating down the Nexus with chairs, smacking each other with chairs. I think like one member of the Nexus came to the ring. I think that was Heath Slater, and Orton just basically hit Slater with the RKO. And I thought Sheamus would win this match immediately. I think the last few minutes was a bit rushed of the eliminations, like after Cena got eliminated, and then Orton kicked out of the bro kick. In the end, Orton hit the RKO onto Sheamus to win this match and win the WWE Championship. I think it's for the 7th time. He won the world title for the 7th time in his career. because I think he won the world title. He won the world title once. I'm guessing he won the WWE Championship 6 times. So yeah, one-time world champion, one-time world title, and 6-time WWE title. So yeah, six. Yes, yeah, it is 7 time at the time. So it was a big deal, and then the fans were really starting to get behind Randy Orton. And, like at this point, I think it was the right call because Sheamus' run as WWE champion was a flop. Not just in his first run. His first run never got a chance because he dropped the belt to Cena at the Elimination Chamber in February of that year. His second run, yeah, he won it at Fatal 4-Way, and his matches sucked. His match with Orton was boring. That was not a good match. It was ended in disqualification. And he ended up having a really shitty reign in 2015, years later. It's just like, his world title reign is way better than his free WWE title reigns, because his world title reign, he was putting on some good matches with Daniel Bryan and Del Rio and Big Show when he lost the belt. Anyway, so they had and they had the rubber match between Orton and Sheamus because they had the Hell in a Cell match weeks later. Orton will win the feud, and Sheamus will not be in the WWE title picture for the next 5 years when he won the Money in the Bank ladder match in 2015. So yeah, like I said, Orton winning it was a big deal. He's doing the whole RKO out of nowhere. It's still popular to this day. Some fans will call Randy Orton overrated. I don't really call it overrated. I think that's bullshit because Orton's not really that overrated. I think he got momentum. He got some momentum. I think his momentum kind of dipped a little bit after that. I think the reason why his momentum was dipped after that. I think when he defeated Christian on SmackDown 5 days after he won the world title at Extreme Rules in 2011, that could be the reason. I don't want to get into the whole Randy Orton's Orton, but like I said, he was getting over. I think they did the right call. He was getting like that momentum, that reaction. I feel like in 2009, you can tell the fans are starting to cheer Randy Orton as, he was still a heel, people, the leader of the evil legacy group, but he was still getting over as a heel, and now he's getting over as a babyface. I think that's the last time he got. Until he lost a bit of momentum after defeating Christian on a SmackDown for the World Heavyweight title. Anyway, so Orton will hold that belt until the night after Survivor Series in November of that year, and then he dropped the belt to The Miz. So I think it was good. It was good. I think it was a bit. I think the last minutes of the 6-pack challenge was a bit rushed. I feel like after this, I think it was the Edge elimination was a bit rushed. I think the 2 eliminations was a bit rushed. I think it was once every 2 minutes. It's a bit rushed. Keep it like, if it was like, I don't want to say keep it 5. Yeah, keep it a bit 5 minutes. It'd be okay. Pick your pacing wisely. You don't want to make the match boring, but at the same time, do not rush it. Otherwise, I feel like the Elimination Chamber, the Raw Elimination Chamber match from Elimination Chamber earlier that year, I think it was a bit rushed. It was eliminations once every 2 minutes. It was a bit ridiculous. So good win for Orton. He leaves Chicago as a 6-time world champion. Oh, 7-time world champion. Sorry. Anyway, so yeah, my final rating for Night of Champions 2010. Oh boy, oh boy. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. I think this was an okay show. Nothing like terrible on this show, but at the same time, nothing like really like fantastic. Like on the good, you got basically a Dolph versus Kofi for the IC title. That was a good opener. Miz versus Bryan for the United States title. That was match of the night. That was really good. The 6-pack challenge for the WWE Championship in the main event. It was fun for what it is. Orton leaves Chicago as the new WWE champion. The fans boo Cena. I think they cheered Cena after he got eliminated because They just hate John Cena. Three in the good, two in the middle. Actually, three in the middle. I have to go with the the only bad on the show has to be Big Show and CM Punk. It's very sad. Like 1 year prior, he was in the main event of Night Champions. He was fighting. He was the world champion, fighting with Jeff Hardy. And then 1 year later, he got squashed by the Big Show. He did like I think it was a 6 minute squash with the Big Show. That was only in the bad. And also in the middle, you got like the women's title match, the Lumberjills match between Melina and Michelle McCool. It was okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was what it is. Kane on Undertaker, no hold bar match for the World Heavyweight title. Again, it was just basically Undertaker's past his prime. They're trying to protect Taker because he's not the same athlete he once was. It was fun for what it was. Okay for what it is, and the tag team turmoil match for the tag team belts. It wasn't. I was going for putting it in the bad, but it was okay for what it is. Nothing fantastic, but it's just like blah. So anyway, that's my review of WWE Night of Champions 2010. Hope you like it. Leave your thoughts on the comment section below. Smash the like button and subscribe to the Central Mind Network on YouTube. Oh boy, the next one. Oh boy, in recent weeks, I'm keeping this 1995 train going because I started doing like reviews of Monday Nitros. I did like the two 1995's WCW pay-per-views, Bash at the Beach 95, Fall Brawl 1995. And also I started doing In Your House shows. Oh boy. I did In Your House 1. That was not a good show. Let's go to the following month's pay-per-view. Let's go to one of the shittiest pay-per-views. I'm not saying it was all time, but one of the worst pay-per-views in the 1990s in the WWF side. I'm talking about King of the Ring 1995. This is the Sancho Man officially signing out. And check you later.